Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Readiness on the Time of the Shift. 4.5 years ago, during a meditation and channeling about prediction for the future, I received a very clear message that the possibility of an ancient pathogen to surface, causing a massive human die-off. At the time, it scared me enough that I call upon the help of two friends of mine, one who used to be a monk and an assistant to the Dalai Lama, and another friend who has a PhD on Chinese Tibetan Buddhism. And I asked them to help me figure out from the Tibetan Book of the Dead idea, a protocol in the event that this were to happen, how to handle this. And I kind of took me some courage to actually publish the material online, and I did, because I was afraid of judgment, ridicule, and condemnation. You don't want to be the person who is saying the bad news. And things were quiet for a while. 2 years after that, the same message came back again, including other things about the future, but the same message came back again stronger. I then again published the material again online. Again, people ridiculed me. People thought I was fear-mongering. I was accused of all kinds of things, and I paid it no mind. I know I was being true in integrity. When initially I began to see what was happening in China, news began to happen around January, it freaked me out. And I'm going to be completely honest and direct with you. It completely freaked me out because what I saw was so scary that I remembered the feelings, the impression, and the vision I had. And it terrified me because I don't think I was prepared. Even for me who received the message, I was not prepared. I didn't take it too seriously. There's a part of me that I have a document on my computer that has information about the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but I don't feel prepared. And so I begin to have these very strange energetic experience where I felt I was split between two realities. On the one hand, there was a part of me that was in complete surrender and at peace, and on the other side of it, there was a part of me that was literally screaming and terrified and in sheer panic. And I would fluctuate back and forth almost every half hour between one extreme to the other. So I would spend a day feeling exhausted and feeling completely, I don't know where I stand because I'm confused. This thing was bouncing like I'm playing ping pong with myself. And I have to say the month of mid-January into the end of February was probably one of the most difficult energetic ones for me. And then toward the end of it, I got to a point where I couldn't stand it anymore because I was not sleeping. I was in panic. I finally prayed and I surrendered this burden. And the moment I released, because the thing I was afraid of is that I couldn't control the outside. What was happening was greater than me. I couldn't control it. It felt, because what I attempted to do, to be perfectly honest with you, is that energetically I have a way to connect to spirit and to the quantum field to allow miraculous transformation to happen for my clients. And I've demonstrated and I've done it for multiple people. I attempted to do it for the planet. And in the process of doing this, I felt like I was standing on the beach alone, trying to stop a tsunami. And I felt crushed and I felt completely energetically wiped out. I couldn't do it by myself. And when I surrender and let go and say, maybe I'm not the one to do this, I'm not the one to control, I'm not capable of doing this myself. When I surrendered it, I felt immediately a tremendous sense of tremendous release, a sense that the burden was taken away, and I begin to see more about the future. See, when you're polarized, when you're perceiving the future and you're polarized about something, you're locked in. It's like getting stuck on a glue trap. And the moment I surrender the fear and I let go, I was able to see more. And I begin to say to a lot of people around me that the stock market is going to plummet. It's gonna, it's a free fall, and it's going to continue for a while now, and it's not going to stabilize. And I begin to see a lot more about what was going to happen. What I've been guided since then to do is to basically offer to a small group. I'm about to do a training called Ascendance and Planetary Leadership. What I do, the way I connect to that miraculous field of benevolence, kindness, and instantaneous change, I am going to spend a 12-week time frame in which we will be online class every Wednesday starting March 25th from 8 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will teach how I do what I do. And I will guide a small group of individuals who I will have a conversation initially with to find their fitness for this training. And I will teach them what I know. And I will give them everything, and I will demonstrate to them how to do this. Okay? Now, the hope in the back end of this is that collectively, the small group and I can go into that field together. And then in behalf of the planet, ask for a miraculous change, a reversal in the process that's already initiated. Because what it feels like energetically is like I'm trying to stop an avalanche. And I know I can't do it alone. But it could end up being a soft landing rather than a hard landing if I have enough people to train to show how to do this. Because when you have 8 billion people who are collectively experiencing something because of karma or action or lack thereof, inaction, it is very complicated for one person to try to stop that kind of future. However, if enough people, a small collective, enough gather together, and I can demonstrate to them how to do this, and I will in the course of the class that I intend to teach them, we will together transform and can change this and make this into a softer landing. And that's the intention. Now, having said this, I have to tell you what I've gotten also so far about the coronavirus. And this is the reason why I'm doing the training. What I got was very clear. The coronavirus doesn't exist. Yes, there is a virus and there's a physical component to this. And since my consciousness inhabits this vessel, this temple in the 3D reality, but the universe is really controlled and put into order by consciousness. In the quantum field, it is awareness and consciousness that controls everything. And it is that in that level, when you look at what the coronavirus is, you realize that it doesn't exist. And as such, I need to train a series of people to connect to that awareness and bring that awareness to precipitate down into the 3D reality. I can't do it alone. It's a collective rescue. So I am trying to seek out individuals who would be willing to go through an intensive. And look, I've been accused by many of my students and my clients that I give too much homework, that I give them too much stuff to do. Right now, since everything is going into shutdown, you all have all the time in the world. I personally, I am in social isolation, but that's not a problem for me because I'm an introvert. Being alone for months at a time, I am in my milieu. I thrive in that kind of environment. So I'm not worried about this, but for the people who are always complaining, I'm busy doing and making my living, now you have all the time in the world. So what I'm saying is that we have the capability together now through the training that I'm going to be giving on every Wednesday starting March 25th for 12 weeks. And in addition, there is also private mentoring, 90-minute private mentoring with me, where I will help customize this training with a very specific spiritual practice for each individual, to customize it for you depending on your strength or your weaknesses. And that way we can accelerate your growth. And then the hope is that by the last class, we will be together in a different level of awareness and consciousness, and I will be able to collectively go with everyone into that miraculous field and change everything. Now, having said this, practical things that I'm doing in the 3D. When I go out, I have my gloves, I have my mask, I have my wipes. By the time I return back into my apartment to go after food shopping, I wash every. I not only take my glove off immediately. I take my wipe. I wipe the keys. I wipe the cylinder of the door. I wipe everything, and then I wash my hand thoroughly. I'm doing everything possible to maintain my physical vessel. And I would suggest that you do exactly the same. Just because I said that the virus doesn't exist, it doesn't mean that you have to be imprudent or stupid. You need to take precaution to make sure that this vessel of expression for your consciousness remain here. Yes, on a quantum field, if you undo the reasons why this negative karma is manifesting, if you surrender it and allow for the opposite to come in, it will dissolve it. And whatever is happening around the world may not exist anymore. We don't know what the quantum field is going to do. I can't decide for it. It will do what it wants to do. But I just want to say that I am also taking all the precautions in the world to make sure that my physical vessel exists. Now, having said this, this is what's been happening to me since I'm preparing for this class. Energetically, how I'm feeling is very different than how I felt between January and February. There are times where I feel I am way too tall for my own body. And I feel like I'm about to fall, like I'm dizzy, or that I have a slight vertigo. It's not exactly vertigo, I can't explain it. It's a sensation that I am way too big for this vessel. I feel like my body and my energy body or my physical body is too thin, like I'm existing between the veils and I'm expanding and I'm growing. But I am not completely comfortable into what I'm growing into. And I'm trying to figure myself out. So at that time I feel that I'm in this physical vessel, at other time I feel much bigger and I feel kind of dizzy. I don't know if any of you have experiencing this, but this is what I am feeling energetically so far in developing situation with this global pandemic. I hope this piques your interest. If you're interested in this class, I will leave a link in the description box below to the class that I'm be giving on March 25th. And I will also ask you to subscribe to the channel, like and share this video if this is something that you feel called to do. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll talk to you next week. Blessings.